Hello and welcome to this video which is about authentic leadership and management. My name is Vicky Kelly. I'm a coach. I work with a number of organisations helping with their leadership and management training, amongst other things. I take a slightly different approach to leadership and management training, which I'm going to use this brief video to tell you a little bit about, because I think it's quite important to look beyond just pure strategies when it comes to leadership. So what I mean by strategies is things like looking at hierarchy and how to assert yourself, how to give instructions clearly, all those sorts of things, all of which have their place and have their value. But what I find in the work that I do with my clients, I find that it's of fundamental importance to really pinpoint the sense of self, the sense of, well, the ego is another way of describing it. Now, I'm not referring to an ego in a sense of arrogance, I'm referring to the ego in the sense of character, the sense of who we think we are and how we are perceived in our workplace, in our lives, and how this ego character that we spend our time operating as has like a built-in desire to promote and protect itself. And so in the leadership and management training that I do, it's of fundamental importance to really get clear on this issue. And it's important from two perspectives. So it's important from the perspective of the leader in understanding what's going on for their team members. It's very easy, I think, in a leadership position to misunderstand the intentions of somebody who's working within your team and to perhaps consider their behaviour to be unreasonable, to think that they ought to be showing you more respect or something along those lines. More often than not, when we look at the behaviour of a team member that we're not 100% happy with, if we really drill down to it, what we can find somewhere within that is that there's some kind of sense of suffering on the part of that team member. And that will be because they're tying in their well-being to this ego sense of self, to this need for them to be protected and promoted in the world. So if you as the leader are going to them and saying, "Oh, can I ask you to do this piece of work for me?" and they already perceive that they have more work than they can handle, then this extra piece of work, from the perspective of their ego, which believes that it needs to be protected, that extra piece of work is a threat. So it would make quite a lot of sense to them to be defensive, to say, "No, I can't do that," or to take it on and think, "Oh my goodness, how on earth am I going to deal with this?" Because they've placed inadvertently, and it's just societal conditioning, this is something that we all fall into the trap of doing at time to time, but actually understanding it is the thing that helps us to stop doing it. So what's happening is that they've placed that sense of okayness in whether I'm able to do this piece of work or not, whether I'm able to keep my direct manager happy or not. And it's just really easy for the thoughts, the mind to kind of play this trick on them as to, if you don't manage to do this piece of work, what will that mean? Oh, well, that will mean that I'll be seen to be weak in the workplace, I'll never get a promotion, I could potentially lose my job, and then that might mean I lose my home, and then my partner might leave me, and then I'll end up on the streets and in destitution and despair. Now that's, that full scenario is unlikely to be thought out consciously at that time, but there's certainly a friction, there's certainly a sense of my okayness is attached to what this person, my manager, this leader, is asking me to do. So if as a leader you understand that that's what's going on for that person, you have this kind of take on this deep core understanding that each of those people who are working on your team feels like they are this separate ego self that they need to protect and promote. It enables you to be much more compassionate with what's going on for them, with how they're perceiving the world, and then that enables you to lead them in a much more caring and considerate way, and actually helping to empower them to know that they are okay, to create a safe space in which They know that it's all right to tell you if they feel that they have too much work or if they aren't sure about their capabilities to do a particular thing. So that's just kind of one example of the way in which this kind of fundamental understanding is of key importance when it comes to leadership and management, rather than just looking at strategies of how to get things done. Another example is when it comes to your position and your understanding of yourself. Okay, so again, if you're seeing yourself as an ego, as a character that needs to be protected and promoted, with the idea that your sense of well-being can come from your job, can come from how other people treat you, can come from whether you get the next promotion, whether you get the pay rise, whether you were to lose your job in the future, so on and so forth, then it's going to seem really important to you that people do things the way that you are asking for them to be done, and they do them within the time in which you're asking for it, and they do it to the standard with which you would expect it to be done as well. And so then if that doesn't happen, then it's a natural reaction that would feel stressful, because your sense of well-being, your sense of okayness is attached to the outcome of this work, and whether you're respected or not, whether you're liked, whether you're good enough. And we can all relate to that at some level, all of us, in whether it's in a leadership and management perspective, or whether it's in interaction with a partner, with friends, family, somebody in the queue at a checkout, or wherever it may be, that the way that we're responded to, that whether we're getting the thing that we think we need or not, can kind of create this sense of like, oh yeah, everything's okay, or oh no, everything's not okay. And then we can then act from that place. And if we have this sense of, oh, I'm not okay, then we're more likely to operate in a way which is actually out of alignment with what feels good, with what's authentic leadership, with how we would want to be treated if we were in the position of the person with whom we're having this interaction. So this kind of sense of not okayness, it's like a personal agenda that then has us put our barriers up and then work hard to continue to protect and promote ourselves. But it just doesn't work. It doesn't work to manage and to lead like that. When we have this sense of knowing that actually my well-being, my wellness doesn't come from how this person is doing with the piece of work I've given them, actually I'm okay at my essence, at the core of who I am. I'm okay. It's only the belief, it's only this conditioned idea of ego which is having me buy into the idea that this particular piece of work needs to be done in this particular way. When we can understand that deeply, it enables us to lead authentically, to remain compassionate, to problem solve without stress, without panic, without all of those things that are just not conducive to great leadership. So hopefully from kind of what I've explained so far, you can see the difference between just doing leadership as strategies and doing leadership with a fundamental knowing of your well-being and a fundamental understanding of what's going on for your team as well. This is the kind of thing that I work with organisations on, and I'm going to be creating some more videos along these lines, going deeper into this understanding of where this well-being comes from. And I'd welcome the opportunity to speak to your organisation if you are looking for leadership and management training for your staff, and maybe you're curious to look into some alternative options. So you'll find my contact details in the notes of this video.